This is
WAW!
What a week. What a week. This kid really kicks.
Welcome to WOW What a Week, part of the Africa Podcast Network. On This Kid Really Kicks Ass, we focus on young Africans that really kick ass. Now, he might not have a name you can easily pronounce after a few shots, but he definitely has a sound you can move to even without a few shots. Please give a wow welcome to Karyendasoul. Karyendasoul.
Yes.
Brother, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, and yourself?
Bonga Ntozini.
Bonga Ntozini, that's the name.
From Ngamakwe.
Ngamakwe.
Ngamakwe 101. Why would I need to visit Ngamakwe? You're the tourism minister.
There isn't much.
Yeah.
Ngamakwe. I think
So
mainly,
where is it near in the Eastern Cape?
it's near Butterworth,
Okay.
but not so far from East London.
Aha, okay.
But yeah, Ngamakwe is a village.
No, yes.
Well, Ngamakwe is a town. I'm from a village in Ngamakwe.
Okay.
So I think mainly what do I like more about Ngamakwe is the peace.
Yes.
But also you just get to see more of what nature has to give us. But also, I think when you know that Kayenda is from Ngamakwe, you know Msak is from Ngamakwe, and a few other people, you want to see this place that produces this dope artists.
I was going to say, the Eastern Cape, was the home of boxing, but now it's becoming the home of music increasingly.
Yeah.
But can you box? Because I know, I've always been told, don't mess with the guy from the Eastern Cape because you don't know if he can box or not.
I can't. I'm not a fighter.
When you're a music maker.
I'm a music maker.
So
Yeah.
what got you out of Ngamakwe? And tell us about your journey, from the village to
Yeah.
where we are right now.
So in Ngamakwe, I grew up with my grandmother.
Yeah.
Which is, I think my music journey began there because Ukoko used to write choral music.
Oh, yes.
So in primary, I was a part of choral, a choir, school choir.
Yeah.
But also after school, when I go home, I would practice her songs with her.
Oh, yes.
So I would do that throughout. And what made me to move to Johannesburg from Ngamakwe, my mom was working in Jozi, so yeah, I made the move
Sure.
for school.
What do you miss about living with Gogo?
I think Ukoko has the same passion for music as I do.
Yes.
So I think that.
So what kind of songs do you guys sing in the house? Give us a sample.
Oh man, it was ages ago, yo.
My man, I know you remember. I know you have a favorite, Yaga Gogo. Listen.
Oh man, I don't remember the songs. I don't remember the song, but I do remember that we used to sing a lot, even when I didn't want to.
Sure.
I can't even sing even now.
So then you start making music.
Yeah.
When did you get to that stage that now I am making music? And who were the inspirations at the time?
So when I went to high school, I went to Highlands North Boys. It's a boys' school. All we talk about is sport, music, and then now I was exposed to DJs
Yes.
because they used to host a lot of parties.
And DJs were a big deal at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
DJs
Not that they're not now, but
Yeah. Like they were a big deal. Like
Yeah.
I would pay. A lot of these guys from Alex would have mixes, maybe from Sheens,
Sure.
from Fresh, from Black Coffee that I wasn't exposed to. So
Yes,
I'd pay the guys like, yo, 10 rand, yo, give me your phone, or send music, send mixes.
Yep.
Because mixes were a thing.
Yes,
like,
yes,
More than
yes.
songs.
Yeah. In fact, I know DJ Kent mixes had a very high worth.
Yeah, how can I forget DJ Kent? Yeah. You'd pay like cheaper just to get the whole collection.
Yes.
Kent. So yeah, I think the love for house began there, and then I got into DJing. But now the interesting thing about this journey of DJing, I wasn't exposed to a lot of places where I could learn to DJ.
Sure.
And then this at some point got very frustrating. And then everyone was just talking about this software, Fruity Loops. So I'm like, maybe this is another DJ software, like virtual DJ. So I'm like, okay, let me check it out. But before I got it, I visited a friend who makes dubstep.
Sure.
So he's like, yo, no, man, this is the software you use to make music. And then I was like, okay, cool. Let me try this. And then I tried something that I fell in love with. That's how I got into production.
And then FL Studio became your new partner.
FL Studio became my new partner. I deleted all the games.
Yeah.
Because, like, I would start making music from, if I'm not going to school,
Sure.
from the morning till midnight. So yeah, it just became my thing.
And I'm told nothing has changed. I'm told that's all you do even now.
Yeah, not now because I'm needed.
Now you're
everywhere
touring.
else.
Yes, now you're touring.
But
Yes.
that's what I love. That's what I love. I don't even watch sport.
Okay, so you're at Highlands North.
Yeah.
Life is happening. What is the dream though at that stage, and what does Ma want for you? Because Ma has taken you from the village, brought you to Josie.
So my mom, right? So I tell them, yo, I'm doing this DJ. They're like, oh, it's okay, but yeah, focus on school.
Yeah.
But now also, like, I won't lie, like making music will distract you from everything else, because I spend more time trying to make these beats than to study.
No, but even when you're in class trying to focus,
Yeah.
in mind, you can see the tracks. You're literally making
That's
music
true.
in your head in class.
You lose your mind.
You lose
so
your-
they're like,
lose your
yeah.
mind, yeah.
So I wanted to study electrical engineering.
Yeah.
And then I did all this the most difficult subjects. I did physics, did pure maths.
You were clever.
I wasn't clever. I was unhappy. I did what I had to do, but I was very unhappy doing those subjects.
Yeah.
So now it's metric. So they're like, yeah, you need to study. And then now this is when I say, I want to study music.
So what does Mama say?
No. Because there's no one from Eastern Cape that has done music and you can say, oh, no, fresh from Ngamakwe.
Yes,
Not from Eastern Cape, sorry. Fresh from Ngamakwe.
Sure.
Studied music. He's now a big deal. He has money. So
Because that's what they want to know. They want to know that who has made it work.
yeah,
And now you think you can also make it work.
exactly. So they know that everyone that has started to be a doctor, to be an engineer, has made it work.
Yes.
So you gotta study that. Okay. Unfortunately for me, I then don't qualify for electrical engineering. So now I get to. I was like, okay, I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
So now I'm improving my physics and maths.
Oh, yes.
So that's when now I start going into this music thing hardcore.
Yep.
And that's the year I dropped my first song.
So what year was this?
My trip 2014, 15.
2015.
2015.
Yeah.
So end of 2015, that's when I dropped my first song. And then, my gap year just became longer and longer and longer until...
And you're still on a gap year.
Yeah, I am.
Now, let's talk about the name, because a lot of people think it's Karyendasoul.
Yeah.
But your name is Karyendasoul. And
Yes.
Karyenda is a drum from Burundi. And for those that don't know, drums in Burundi are sacred. Drums in Burundi, some of the best drummers on the continent, if not in the world, are from Burundi.
Yeah.
What was it about the Karyenda that said to you, that's my name?
So the first thing was I had names before.
Yeah.
Or a name. I used to produce deep house, so
Sure.
I call myself Master Soul,
Sure.
Masterful Souls.
Deep house guys have deep names.
Yeah. But I realized that whenever I went online to search for my mixes or the tracks that I've uploaded, there's about 20 Master Souls.
Yeah.
So I needed a name that would stand out.
Oh, Master Soul SA.
Yeah, nah, that's not it. I needed a name that would stand out.
Sure.
But like when I was reading and I came across the kind of drum,
Yes.
I felt like this now would speak to not just a name that would stand out, but also it speaks to what I do.
Yes.
My music is very drum driven,
Absolutely.
with the touch of soul. So I took that soul from Master Soul. Yeah.
And we're Africans and we're about the drum.
Exactly.
We are about the
Yeah.
drum. Like without the drum, we're almost nothing. And in fact, that's why I'm glad, as much as they took us across the Atlantic and, they took our strong men and women, we've reclaimed our drum. And we're slowly showing the rest of the world that we own the drum.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
So you start making traction in the industry. People start realizing that there's this kid who kicks ass.
Yeah.
You release Waka. Was it 2017?
It was 2018.
2018.
18.
And Waka becomes one of the anthems of the European summer. But at home, we still don't really know you.
Yeah.
It's only in the underground and lovers of Afro and Afro tech that maybe know you. How does that feel, that the Europeans are already vibing to you, but Tina was still sleeping?
It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Because now I have these enquiries in Europe.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, Kayenda? Are you in town? We'd love to book you.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in South Africa, but I would love to come. Okay, hit us up when you're in town, when you're in the country.
Oh, yeah, when it starts like that.
Yeah.
You need to be there first.
You need to be there first because the budget is not that big. So
Absolutely.
there's a lot of that. I'm not doing any shows at home.
Yeah.
And then now I start doing shows outside the country. Swaziland, I started doing Swaziland, I started doing Mozambique, I started doing Botswana. And that is exciting, but it's also becoming now even more frustrating because I spend more time in South Africa.
Sure.
And then whenever I'm back here, it's like everything is quiet.
Yes.
But also I think that thing gave me a lot of courage to push even like harder.
Yes. Now, when we look at what you did with Waka and In Control and where your sound is right now, there's a clear evolution.
Yeah.
What informed that evolution in your sound?
It's partly the frustration.
Yeah.
And my thing is, I've always been told, like, yo, to be commercial, yeah, this sound can't work. And my thing was like, I don't want to be commercial, but I want to commercialize my sound. Be myself, but be in the commercial market.
Sure.
So now, for a long time, that the goal was always to just build that sound, start to make songs with vocals. And then, that's when I met Zakes now, who also played part in that. You need songs that are relatable.
Sure.
So now that's when we made Imali.
Sure.
Yeah,
So how did you meet Zakes?
I met Zakes in 2019. When was the lockdown? The first one?
Yeah, about 2019-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At Mixmag in Bram.
Oh yes, they used to do those parties.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think at that time he was getting into, I didn't know, but I think a week before I saw him playing Waka. Mixing Waka and Juju, which was like, this is very dope.
Sure.
So a week later, he's at Mixmag, I'm at Mixmag, and then that's how I met him.
And then you guys, so did you guys meet in studio or did you work remotely?
So I met Zakes at that party.
Sure.
But I started going with him to his shows.
Yes.
And then we started chilling because I became friends with the people he worked with. So there was a lot of chilling, like, for a long time before we were in studio.
Sure.
And then we got in studio, yeah.
So while you're chilling, what's going through your mind in terms of, this could be the opportunity I'm looking for, but I could also be wasting my time here?
I didn't have any of those in my mind. I was really in the moment.
Just taking it all in.
Yeah, because we never had conversations about, we need to make a song like this. It was just being around a friend. And then when we were in studio, like, we knew what we both wanted to achieve.
Yes.
So yeah.
Now, a lot of people often talk about how deep house this, Afro house this, Afro tech this. And, you talk about the fact that you make Afro tech. How would you describe your music to a 5-year-old? What is Afro tech?
So this is how I best describe myself.
Yeah.
For a long time, I used to say this is electronic Afro house.
Sure.
Because it's a combination of electronic music and Afro house. What I know is Afro house. Drums and house with drums,
And the old school techno.
Yes. And so electronic will take EDM, techno, melodic house in that umbrella. And that's how I best describe it. But it's now called Afrotech, and I should stick to that. Yeah.
So you guys then drop a track with Zakes. and everything changes.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So let me go back a bit.
Okay.
I dropped a track with Black Coffee,
Oh, yes.
and I think everything is about to change.
Yes.
Everything does change, but like in the back scene.
Sure.
So now I'm exposed to a lot of people. I'm able to like get in any office.
It opened doors.
Open a lot of doors, you know.
But not the bank account.
Not the bank account, not the gigs,
Yeah.
you know. But now we drop Imali, and then Imali does everything else that the other track did.
It lives up to its name.
Yeah.
When did you realize that, oh, wow, there's a shift? What was that moment, the defining moment for you?
Shift in the
In
sound.
terms of, no, just you, that things are changing now because of that one song. And often that's all it takes.
It was definitely, okay, it's definitely Mali.
Yeah.
But
But what was the moment, though? Was it a gig that you got? Was it a check that you got? Was it a phone call that you got? Was it someone all of a sudden co-signing you? Because there's often a moment where you know that, Karyenda, it's happening now.
I've had a lot of these moments.
Yeah.
The first moment was back now in 2015
Sure.
when we were working on songs to release with Kenny Dope. So I was often having conversations with Kenny Dope. So, but at that time, I didn't think about it
Yeah.
because I didn't know Kenny Dope that much.
Did you understand, though, the legend of Kenny Dope? The legend of this drum programmer?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think I didn't understand because he was also a very, very chill guy. Like,
No, Kenny is the chillest guy.
but until he came to the country and I was with him, when we went to Corona Sunset, and I got to spend time with him, and I got to see how much everyone like sees this legend as who he is.
Okay, so until Corona Sunset, you had no idea the company you were in.
No, I did have an idea.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, I knew about Masters at Work. I just didn't know about Kenny Dope. Yeah.
Sure.
But of course I did like search, and I knew about it.
So what's your relationship with Kenny Dope right now?
Oh,
With all that is happening around you?
I haven't spoken to him in a long time.
Yeah.
In a long time, yeah.
Sure. So Mali obviously drops then, and then things start to open up. Then you start to touring.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Where are some of your favorite cities you've been to because of that one song?
So before Imali,
Yeah.
I went to Kenya, which
Sure.
even till today is still my favorite place.
Yeah.
People really love house there. They like dance. People sing the bass lines if there's no vocals.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was very exciting. And then I think at the moment when Imali dropped would be maybe which one? I'm trying to think. The only one in Europe.
Yeah.
Where, it was in Madrid.
Sure.
It was in Madrid. It was in Madrid last year.
Sure.
For me, it was really interesting and very exciting. I played this song. During the chorus, I switched the song off.
Sure.
And everyone is singing along.
Oh, wow.
They don't even, I'm sure some don't even know the lyrics.
Yeah. If not most.
Most,
Yeah.
because it was like maybe 5 black people in the club.
Sure.
So that was the one.
Yo. Let's talk about how some DJs, when they start touring, will adapt their sets because they're touring. And then other DJs don't compromise.
Yeah.
This is who I am. Where do you sit?
I don't compromise.
Yeah.
Because
Okay, so what you would play in Amakwe is what you would play at Pasha.
my set in SA is
Yeah.
the same set I would play at Pasha.
Sure.
But it would be just 2 or 3 songs that I can play in SA that I can't play in Europe.
Oh, yes.
But like 80 or 90% of the set, I don't compromise. And this is because if I start compromising and adapting to what Europe is, and then I will lose my identity,
Yes.
and then I don't stand out. I'm just like one of them.
And they've brought you there for who you are.
Exactly.
Why should you change to
Yeah.
who you think they want you to be?
Exactly.
And I think that's the mistake a lot of DJs make. And even worse, a lot of us fall into this trap of trying to play for other DJs, trying to impress other producers. When you forget that the guy that paid £100, €100, that is the guy you should be impressing, not the DJ in the DJ box with you.
DJs don't even stream music sometimes.
They don't even pay for your music. He'll be the first guy to say, escape link.
Send,
escape link. But
Exactly.
we want to impress them. We want to impress them.
I was also like that.
Yeah.
It's just recently I started like changing my perspective in that.
I'll tell you right now, it's not easy, especially when you're playing a DJ set with someone you look up to in the DJ box. I did a gig just 2 weeks ago with Vinny and Christos, and Christos was in the DJ box with me as I'm playing. For 1 second, I almost played a set for Christos. And then I remember that, no, man, screw Chris. Oh, no, man.
Yeah.
I've known Chris for 30 years. These people are the ones who should... I'm playing for these people here, not for Christos.
Yeah.
You know?
It's exactly that.
So you've always made sure that you bring yourself back from that.
I think because I've become more of a producer than a DJ.
Oh, yes.
So I've had those struggles as a producer.
Sure.
And I just use that template to my DJ.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, you relocated to Durban. Why would you do that?
Because now there's COVID.
Yeah.
First year of COVID, I'm paying rent. No money coming in. All the money is coming out.
Asian food. It was rough. It was rough for everyone.
So mind you, this is my first. I moved out of home at my mom's place. 2019, not knowing COVID is coming.
And you were still young. I mean, how old were you? 20, 21?
2019, how old was I? No, 2021. The first lockdown was 2020.
Yeah.
Was I 22?
22, yeah. You were still a youngster.
Yeah, I was 22.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to be like a grown up now.
Yeah.
Trying to challenge myself. So yeah, I move in with a couple of friends. We do this for a full year. We're thinking, okay, lockdown is about to end. 2020, the following year, it's still locked down. Now things are starting to be bad. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm like, no, man, I'm not moving back home. I just don't feel like moving back home. So at that time, I'm working with Zakes.
Yeah.
Zakes is like, yo, guys, I have a house in Durban that I'm not using. That's where his studio is.
Sure.
So we all go down to Durban, in even Zakes. So now we're all at this house. We're making music. That's how I got to Durban.
And then you never left.
And then I never left.
Yeah. Listen, if you're not paying rent and there's a studio there, why would you leave?
And everyone is like, when are you coming back? I'm like, besides even paying the rent, I'm like, why would I come back when I'm making so much beautiful music?
Exactly.
The energy is right there, like with everyone that we're working with, the energy is right. We always like aim to make new music.
Sure.
We can drop a Mali today and everyone's like, yo, we're on the next one.
Sure.
Because we've been wanting to.
In fact, by the time we hear Mali and we love it, it's 3 months later for you already.
Yeah.
So it's an old song for you.
But it's Osama, when Osama was made,
Yeah.
it was early on the year.
Sure.
And it was there. It was an old song to me.
Sure.
And then we did Imali. And then there were other songs that before they were released, they became old songs, but they're now big songs.
So Osama obviously was a massive tune. It was an awesome tune. But surely we also need to give credit to events like Kunye,
Definitely.
where a lot of these songs blow up.
Definitely.
A lot of these songs are incubated. A lot of these songs are test-driven. Let's talk about events like that. How important are they?
They're very, very, very important.
Yeah.
I think that's what the house culture has been missing for a long time.
Yes.
Having those platforms, having a lot of like-minded people coming to the space to hear the music.
And there's no VIPs.
Yeah.
There's no bottle service. We're there to jam and jay.
So now in that space, you have 100 like-minded people that are in the zone.
Yeah.
And then you get there, you're not into this, but you've been hearing about it. So now what these events do, they expose now the sound and
Yes.
the culture of house to other people. So they bring a lot of growth.
Sure, absolutely. Speaking of growth, what are you working on right now that we can look forward to in the not so distant future?
What am I working on?
Yeah. What's next for Karyenda?
What's next now? Touring.
Yeah.
I'm I'm going to Europe soon. So the goal is to do more shows that side, but also come back home, do a lot of shows here at home. Also do a lot of visuals. There isn't a lot of music videos in my space. So do a lot of those to put the sound in those spaces where they're not really existing.
It's a thing I keep preaching to a lot of kids out there, that do it all, but don't forget the music video. Yes. And a lot of us were making music videos, or we stopped making music videos because you thought, yeah, but Channel O might not play it.
Yeah.
This channel might not play it, but YouTube is getting more streams and paying more for streams than all the other streaming platforms. So your video will pay you. It's not even just a video is a nice to have anymore. A video is a source of income.
Exactly.
On YouTube.
Also, it benefits you as an artist. You need to put the face now.
Yes.
Put the name to the face.
Absolutely.
People need to know who you are.
Yes.
Like when I had Iwaka and all of those other songs before, people knew the songs, but no one
knew who
the
you
face.
were. Yes.
They were like, oh, but now it's like, I just walk in a room, like, that's the guy.
Yeah.
You know, it works. It benefits me.
Don't you also miss the privacy that came with being anonymous, though?
Well, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
But
I can get that when I just sit at home. But yeah, I don't get like a lot of that when what I appreciate now, I can go to a mall and do whatever I want to do.
Yes.
Only at gigs I would feel it.
Yes, sir.
But I'm exposed to a lot of very big artists. When I walk with them to malls, then I see what's coming.
Exactly.
And I fear that. So I fear what's coming, but because I know what it is. Yeah.
What does Mama think of your career right now?
She's very proud. She's very proud. I was speaking to her the other day. She's very proud, man. Like, we will not go.
Sure.
But also, I think even beyond just my family, a lot of people from my village are very proud because I've become that guy.
Yes.
Even once in Namaga, you want to make music, they can be like, oh,
it's possible.
You want to do what Ubonga is doing. So it's possible.
You become a reference point.
Yeah.
There's also pressure that comes with it. You can't drop the ball.
There is. But never let the pressure get to you.
Yes, sir.
I try not to let the pressure get to me.
Yeah.
But of course, there is pressure. I just have to remind myself where I come from, how I started. Yeah, that's what keeps me going.
Yes, sir. How do people support you? Where do we find your music? Where do we stream your music? Where do we find your booking details?
Okay, my music is on all social media. No, what am I saying? My music is on digital platforms.
On all digital platforms.
Digital platforms.
Yeah.
And all social media platforms at Karyendasoul. Support me by booking me, bookings at karyendasoul.com. But if you want to see me, just catch me at your nearest hot party.
Absolutely.
I like partying.
My dude, not only do you like partying, you have become the party.
Yeah.
And for that, we are proud to say you are one of us.
Thank you.
I'm sure there's kids in your village, there's kids in other villages that see that, you know what, this thing is not a difficult, intangible thing. You know, there's kids growing up in Transkei that look at Black Coffee and say, he is from here, but look at him winning Grammys. So it's people like you that are becoming the light for a lot of kids in the villages. So please don't, take it lightly. And also remember that a lot of us appreciate you. We see you and we'll keep saying your name even when you're not in the room.
Thank you.
So shout out to you, my brother.
And you know, when I realized everything you just said is when people my age and maybe a bit older started calling me Frotman. So I have to remind them, no, man, at 21 I was called Frotman. I'm like, no.
Imagine. But because you're making Frotman music.
And then I understood it now, yeah.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Karyendasoul is about to leave the building. Find him at a hot party near you. Thank you for tuning in. It was an incredible show, as always.
This is WAW! What a week. What a week.
It's now time for this week's hashtag Action Weekends at Ster-Kinekor. This weekend's movie opening today is Kandahar. On a mission in Afghanistan, a CIA operative is exposed. Accompanied by his translator, he must fight his pursuers while trying to make it to an extraction point in the city of Kandahar, over 600 kilometers away, and in 30 hours. Ding ding. It's an awesome action adventure starring Gerard. If you're South African, it'd be Gerard. Gerard Butler and Naveed Nekhaban. Our rating is Y for yo. I hope they make it. Hope you have fun finding out. Catch Kandahar at a Ster-Kinekor big screen soon. Here is the trailer.
What's the job?
We're gonna destroy their whole nuclear program.
Breaking news exposing the CIA's sabotage of Iran's nuclear reactor.
Recovers blood. Release in 15 minutes. We have to get to Kandahar.
They didn't even catch my guys. I'll sell them to the highest bidder.
No one is coming to rescue us.
Yo. Like I said, catch Kandahar at a Ster-Kinekor big screen soon. If you go to the comments, there's a link there where you can book your tickets. Go and watch it. As you can see, a ton of action.
This is WAW! What a week. What a week. Celebrity guest.
Welcome to this special edition of WOW What a Week. We're part of the Africa Podcast Network. Email WAW at africapodcastnetwork.com. Our special guest today. He ends his broadcasts with the phrase, shelele. So since he's at the turning point in his life, we'll start with something similar. It's him, yelele. Please welcome sportscaster extraordinaire, Robert Madliputu Marawa.
Fresh and fresh. How are you doing, sir?
Dude.
I never knew you could say that like as beautifully as you've just done now.
Why? Because I'm a Tswana man.
No, because you put some effort into it.
Many don't know that your dad originally is a Tswana man.
Yeah, he is.
From the Northwest.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I say he is because he'll always live in me and in my spirit and in my heart.
Yes.
As much as it passed on in 2016.
Sure.
But definitely a man from the Northwest, from Klerksdorp, from Jubetin. He had to go swing to KZN, to the kingdom, to find his life partner.
In fact, in your book, Shelele, the Robert Marawa story,
yeah.
You speak fondly of Pops buying you a transistor radio that changed your life.
Yeah, jeez.
Tell us about this little transistor radio.
Jeez, Fresh. I mean, it was like a little thing, like a little radio.
Sure.
Long aerial. But all it was the life that it gave to me. It was also just an appreciation where I got to know and understand. I got to listen to what I loved, which was football every weekend.
Yeah.
I loved my football. So every weekend, the nuns, which looked after us, the sisters, as we call them, the German nuns, would then hand it over to me on weekends. So I was not allowed to have it during the week, and they would give it to me. And I was almost like the hero in the whole school because that was only the little supply that we had on how to listen to football. So I had about 50-odd kids around me every Saturday and Sunday
to listen. You were like the dealer. You were the audio dealer.
I was the audio dealer. I was a Pied Piper.
Weirdest thing, in the junior dorm, when I was at boarding school, I had the radio.
Oh, wow.
But also had like 100 cassette collection. So I was the Pied Piper on the other side of the subcontinent while you were doing that on the other side.
That is amazing, though, because probably you started dreaming of your career then, which was to be on radio. I just admired the people that are on radio. And I do illustrate in the book how afraid I was of radio, how scared I was, how much I respected radio, that I never imagined myself to ever be on radio. Television, yes, that's what I wanted to do. But radio, I think also just because of the kind of caliber of people that were there, I'd listen to these guys and be like, I would love to meet them, but I would never want to do this.
Who were the radio and TV heroes at the time?
Well, back then, because, the radio station was Radio Zulu.
Radio Bantu.
Radio Bantu.
It was Bantu radio at the time. Yeah, it was Radio Zulu.
It was Radio Zulu.
Because I listened to a lot of Setswana stereo.
Yes.
So, you know, just like with the Bantustans, radio was also...
According to the languages.
Yes.
So Radio Zulu was the one. So besides the football with the commentators, Abo Bab Mangete, Kos Khatebe, who then went on to form Metro FM, and he started Metro FM in life, but he was, you know, for me, he was the king when it came to radio broadcasting and commentary.
Yeah.
And so it moved from all of the grades of radio, football broadcasting, and then to just general. So top of the list was Bongani Cyril Mkhunu, otherwise known as Kansas City.
Yes.
You know, that man, he needed no studio.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do a top 20, he would do a top 20, get to number one. Half the time, Lucky Dube was number one, but he would say number one. You know, but he made it sound magic, and you almost thought there was a production that was behind it, but it was just his voice. Joe Shamlaba, Mamlindi Wegantuli, you know, it's a whole myriad of people that I love there.
Would you say it's because of radio legends like that understood that it's theater of the mind, that understood that I have to do so much with little, that they're unforgettable, and that why currently there's a lot of people on radio, but very few are memorable.
Yeah, it's difficult, man.
It's so I'm not the one who's struggling there.
No, you're not. And you know, with the greatest of respect, I was driving here, and my technical producer started sending me stuff that I'm going to need for my show this evening.
Yes.
So usually he would send it to me in the afternoon. So as I drive to the studio, then I start to pre-listen to everything that's packaged. So mentally, I get my mind around that.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, I was halfway down passing Greyston, and boom, 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 you know, my phone goes off, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And it's brought all the audio.
Yes.
And at that stage, strangely enough, I was listening to nothing.
Yeah.
I was listening to the sound of traffic just going by and buzzing through, whereas normally I would have a favorite station that I would tune into and be able to listen to or be able to grab my attention. But for whatever reason, I even said to him, I sent him a voice note. I said, geez, it's almost like you knew I'm driving to, you know, downtown Joburg, and I needed something. And I started listening to that, you know, as a way of just trying to prepare for the afternoon. But it's very strange. I don't know, maybe we just weird in that way, but I loved radio in such a way that this is a strange feeling for me.
What would you say radio management are doing wrong right now?
Radio management has no management.
That's half the problem.
Radio management are people who are in management but trying to compete with the on-air personalities. And you can never get that right.
Sure.
I mean, I always use the example of Larry King. Larry King, even when he was very, very old and you could see him on his own show on CNN, he was starting to struggle.
Yeah.
But what the management at CNN did was to try and find out from him, what can we give you to make you more comfortable on set? Is it a cup of coffee? Can we put a mug there? And whatever was in the mug, whether it's coffee or something, a double shot of something, we never know, but they just wanted to have him comfortable.
Sure.
And they would go out their way because that's how much pride and value.
He's the star player.
100%.
He's your star player.
And he was allowed to be that star.
Yes.
Fresh. I mean, so here you find management that want to be on Instagram, they're wanting to be on social media pages. So if you go to an awards event,
They want to be on the red carpet.
they want to be on the red carpet.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So if Audi or any other car brand is sponsoring you as a group of DJs to go for an awards ceremony, guess who's driving those Audis? It's them. And guess who's being picked up from the airport in a bus as if they're going on a school tour to Drakensberg? You know, so that for me begins to be the problem. Management should manage.
It's funny you tell that story. So I get to Metro FM.
Yeah.
And I think I'd been at Metro less than a year.
Yeah.
And it's Durban July weekend coming up. And one of the car manufacturers are sponsoring cars to be driven by us to Durban.
Yeah.
I think there were more management people driving these cars to Durban than us. In fact, I never even got to drive any of the cars.
No, neither did I.
I just heard, we've been sponsored vehicles for the Durban July.
Yeah.
But management were driving them.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
What is this? You know, and then people wonder why, as a public broadcaster, they deem themselves to be broke.
Yes.
And they continually run to, to government and to parliament to ask for a bailout. And that is sad because radio's got so many talented people.
Yeah.
So many talented people that are being just shunned out or being made to feel small because management can squeeze you out. Management can make you feel small. And that is where now the ethos of what radio should be gets lost. The creativity that we talk about. I mean, I was looking at the original photo of all the Metro FM DJs when they started, all 33 years ago or so.
Yeah.
It was one man, one mic, one man, one mic, one man, one mic. And somebody said, is this the entire team? And I said, yes.
And often you are producing your own show also.
Yeah. There's no producer.
You are the show.
You are the show.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to produce Treasure Shabalala talking to his truckers?
Exactly.
Hey, Shell Road goes trucking.
Shell goes trucking. Hello.
Hello. And you knew that.
Your colored women love Treasure. Yo.
And you would identify your voice as just from a hello.
Yes.
I mean, I remember there was a guy, Mbambo's Machosa.
Yes.
And he would be the first guy, and he'd be like, oh, Mbambo's, where are you?
Yeah.
I'm at the toll gate now.
Oh, I'm at the Shell Ultra seat. Yes.
By Boy River. So that was radio, and people loved it. And because the whole emphasis was on what Metro delivered as far as music is concerned. So all of those little features and the fact that they would be sponsored, because in the end it was, Shell goes trucking.
Absolutely.
And they were able to pump in money. Now, who pumps in money at night?
You know the saddest thing? Chat GPT is all the rage right now.
Yeah.
And, I often go there just, for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
So ask Chat GPT, most influential South African radio personalities. You know that in the top 10, 6 of them are not even on radio anymore. But according to AI, they are still very influential in radio.
In the radio space.
In the radio space. Ask ChatGPT about any top 10 radio people in SA. At least 5 or 6 of them are not on radio anymore. So Eridi Tlabi will come up, I will come up, Gareth Cliff will come up, John Robbie will come up. And I'm thinking there's so much young talent, but a lot of it is not memorable. A lot of it is sounding like everyone else. That's sad.
It is sad. You mentioned John Robbie for the longest time, and maybe it's a story that I seldom tell, because maybe I forget. But I had just come to Joburg, and I was looking for the station called, was it 540? Was it? Yeah. But it was radio pop, basically.
Yes.
So it was on medium wave.
540, yes.
Yeah, it was on medium wave. So I kept scrolling, trying to find this radio pop because I loved it. I loved the personalities that were there.
Yeah.
That for me was radio.
Sure.
I didn't know anything about 702. But on my way, as I'm, flicking the dial, I come across these angry people screaming and shouting at each other, like quarter to swearing at each other. I'm like, what on earth is this? And I actually stopped the dial there and I listened. It was John Robbie doing the 9 to 12 at night.
Oh, yes. That was some of the most angry radio you'd hear at the time.
And remember the transition that just kicked in.
Yes.
So
a lot of white people are nervous, are angry.
Yeah.
They don't understand why blacks must be allowed to vote all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So people are angry.
And equality.
Yes.
We got to be in the same queue in the bank with black people.
Yes.
How is that possible? Because we've always had our shorter queue and the long queues for black people. And I stopped. And that is why I always disagreed with people saying that John Robbie was a racist, because I got to listen to John Robbie in that critical stage when white people were hurling all of these insults at him, calling him a kafir putti.
Because they were calling
and so,
they were calling him out. The kafir putti.
They were saying he's the kafir putti.
Yes.
And he had to defend himself and why people should embrace the way that we were going.
What's coming, yes.
Then obviously when he flips and he goes and does breakfast.
Yeah.
So now he can see the shenanigans of the comrades and how they are now misusing the money and how the country's starting to fall apart. And when he starts to challenge them, then they start to use the racist word without even knowing the history of the background of a person that had to take the bullets for them back then, when the transition was happening in the early 90s.
Now, in your book, you speak fondly of Martin Locke.
Yeah.
Who on earth is Martin Locke? Why should we care?
You should care because when I watched television and I saw this man, I was like, I want to be where this man is.
Yes.
I had no issues. I was just like, And kindly, there was no proper reception. We had an aerial that we had to fix, and sometimes you got a picture, grainy thing, but it was never clear.
Do you know, sometimes during the news, if there was a wind and the aerial shifted, my dad would make me go to the roof to go fix the aerial again.
And he'll tell you to the left?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So I knew where the transmitter was. Okay. I just had to, it was on a hill.
Yeah.
It's called Kali Hill.
Yeah.
So the transmitter was there. I had to just turn the aerial and face it there. But if it's a bit rickety, I'd have to hold it during the news. Until the news are done, then I can come off the roof.
Down.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Mazola,
Martin Locke. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's crazy, but yeah, it's amazing how similar these stories are. But the desire, when I saw Martin Locke, was just that. I was like...
So he was a sportscaster.
So he was a sportscaster.
Yeah.
Handled the desk. They did the sports as a whole. So he was doing Olympic Games, he was doing Commonwealth Games, but then they were doing football at some stage.
Yeah.
And then they had a show called Mabaleng, where the local football now started to get introduced. But the strange thing was that half-time, they crossed to Greyville, they crossed to all the horse racing stuff, which was a bit strange for me.
Yeah.
But you know, the long and short of it was that Martin Locke inspired the hell out of me. He inspired me such that, I mean, I was still a kid, and Martin Locke is a grown man. And that's all I wanted to do, was to be there.
I often encourage kids to dream so big that their heroes one day become their colleagues. You managed that. Take us through that.
It was the craziest thing, Fresh, because I'm being called in to do you pop in and you come in and do an audition. So I am doing an audition.
Okay, so sorry. So for a bit of perspective,
Yeah.
So you're now at Wits University.
Yes.
You're studying towards a law degree.
Something that you also studied.
Law, law dropouts. But we're not proud law dropouts. We just followed our passions, as it were.
Absolutely.
So you're doing law,
Yeah.
and then you're called in for an audition.
I find out about the audition.
Yeah.
And I take myself there. I take myself out of the lecture room, and I get to find out where this SABC is.
Yeah.
And I get to be told where it is. And at that stage, obviously, I'd been doing, continuity presenting. So I had already found my way inside. But I was not happy. I mean, like you say, the news was always in Zulu or Xhosa 7:30.
Yeah.
So that was never going to change. So whether I introduced the news or not made no difference.
Yeah.
But now this is a different thing. This is what I want. This is what I have always wanted to do. So after a year of continuity presenting, I go there and I'm doing an audition. The audition has a whole lot of very famous people that I've seen in magazines and on television. And obviously I'm nervous. I'm like a nobody in that space. So I almost literally leave and go back and I say, there's no way, I can't even mention the names of the people that were there, but they were really big names. And I get into the room, they mic me up, they tell me what's needed of me.
Yeah.
There's like a mock person that is there. I probably was too nervous to even remember who that person was. And we're doing a situation, they play a little bit of a game, you got to analyze, and they come back to us in the studio. Handle that, do the little bit that I can, not knowing that Martin Locke is actually in the control room, and he is saying to Karen, who was doing the directing, that who is that young man?
Yeah.
That is the man that we want.
Oh, wow.
But at the time, it didn't even click to me that was Martin's voice, because I'm just in the moment, and obviously I don't have access to an earpiece at that stage. But long and short is, Martin says, I'm the person, that's the voice, that's the person you need to take. I go home, or I go to res.
Yeah.
Obviously, I got no cell phone. Get a call via the call box. So they come and call me through.
Yeah.
I take the call. Is that Robert? And I say yes. Listen, this is the SABC. Then that time it's a Thursday.
Yeah.
So I had to do audition on Thursday. Get the call on Friday. You've been chosen. You got two choices.
Yeah. We
We either put you in the game on Sunday, Orlando Pirates, Bloemfontein Celtic, or we can give you a bit of time to acclimatize and we start you next week.
In fact, just hold that thought for a second. Before we even get to that.
Yeah.
So your dad, obviously, and your mom, they've sent you to Joburg to study. Yeah. All of a sudden, you're one of the poster boys and girls for SABC1. How do they feel about that at that stage?
it's not a great feeling.
Yeah.
Because I've already got a scholarship.
Yes.
For post my studies.
Oh, yes.
You know,
So your job is set.
So my
path is set.
My path is set.
Yeah.
So the dad has worked hard, believe it or not. It's what the 1820 Settler Foundation have said, okay, for 2 years, we're going to send you to the UK. You want to do entertainment law?
Sure.
That is what you've said you want to do. So here we are. We've shaken hands. We've almost signed a contract to basically say, when you're done adverts, you're off to the UK. This is what you're going to study.
Yeah.
But then, they're not happy. I try and use, a little bit of dribbling.
So did they know you were going to do the audition to do more TV work?
No, they didn't. They knew nothing.
Okay, so Friday you get the call.
Yeah.
That's this coming Sunday, Bloom Celtic versus Pirates. Your dad is a Pirates fan.
Yeah, big one.
And you choose to say, Coach, put me on, I'm ready. Yeah. And in fact, you've always had that attitude, though.
Yeah.
You've always had the, are we going in? Okay, let's go in.
Let's do this.
So you have 2 days
to prep.
But
also to prep for the entire country. So remember then, there's no, Super Sport is an option.
Yes.
Every eyeball is on SABC.
And Bloom Celtic is a huge team.
It's a massive team. It's a massive team.
And Pirates obviously is a household name also.
Team born in 1937 is huge.
Did you tell your folks you're on TV on Sunday? Or how did Dad find out? Because he's a Pirates fan. So he will watch the match.
So I think how I said, Fraser, it was actually crazy. I just called and I said, there's a big game on Sunday.
Yeah.
You might want to watch.
Oh, wow. So that was it. That was you breaking it down to them.
Yeah, I left it at that because I didn't want to cause any more friction. This Simunya thing was already causing problems and saying, but you're not studying.
You're shooting videos in car washes, wearing white.
Drink the Macarena. You know all these promos that we did all the time. So it's like, can you do some work? And an old man has given me a car. He's given me his old jalopy Mercedes-Benz that I need to go and auction.
Sure.
To the auction so you can get some money and whatever. So I have to drive this old jalopy of his to go and auction it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, how on earth am I going to go auction a car when I have no car?
I need a car, yes.
I need a car.
Yeah.
So, so I keep telling him, no. The auctioneers here are saying, let me come next week because there's nobody who wants to buy the car now.
Yeah.
And I just keep dragging it on. So I'm this student who's driving this jalopy of a Merc.
Yes, sir.
And people are thinking, hey, man, who's this guy? But in the end, I had to because it was starting to get a bit, But I needed a vehicle. I was taking the double-decker bus things, taxis, walking, V2. That's how we lived our lives.
Absolutely.
But in the end, I could have never asked for more supportive parents than they did.
So they came around.
They came around. They started listening to the shows on radio. They started watching all the television broadcasts until today.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom's 86.
Sure.
I don't think she's missed a show except for the times that she's been in hospital.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Sunday arrives. First TV gig. It's a huge match. How did that go?
Ever heard of nerves, my friends? Ever heard of nerves? And what the SABC did then was take the studio outside of the traditional studio in Auckland Park.
Yes.
So they set up the scaffolding at the F&B Stadium so that we could be, almost at the venue. And as they're shooting with the game behind and the fans behind. So it brought a vibe there. But for a broadcaster, there's a lot of noise. There's vuvuzelas, there's screaming, there's singing, there's all sorts of things happening. And you have an earpiece.
Yes.
So now there's 10,001 people talking in my ear. The director's talking to the guys in Joburg, and the other one is telling camera 5 to focus, and the other one is screaming at the lighting guy, sound guy. Geez, and I'm supposed to have a conversation here.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I got a bit rattled in the beginning. But I had Thomas Gwenaite, people like Deshi Tower, who were there to almost help. So I was very quick to try and throw a quick question at somebody so that I can try to compose myself. And then another quick question goes by. But what really elevated me in all of that was hearing in the OB van, the outside broadcast van, when we wrapped the show, there was like a thunderous round of applause.
Oh, wow.
In there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Rob Rogers, who was on the mic in my ear, was like, Roberts, show number 1 done. Congratulations, boy, you did well.
Yo.
And it was like, my goodness, what on earth has just happened? Because again, I knew.
Who won that match? Because obviously that would...
I have no idea.
Because obviously that would determine how Dad responds to this new gig.
To be honest, I have no idea. I was just a bunch of nerves.
Sure.
I wanted this thing to be done, to be over, and maybe the second or the third one might be easier. But it was just the first break into something that I always wanted to do. It was maybe surreal to me.
Sure.
Being at the FNB Stadium was also surreal to me. And looking at the fact that you're controlling all of these gentlemen that you've seen or read, and you've read their work and you've seen them on television, there was a level of power bestowed on you. But I didn't even look at that. For me, it was just the honor of being on that platform with them, and Orlando Pirates with all the players that I knew, Bloem Celtic, all the players that I knew, literally just meters down. Yeah.
Now, your folks, hardworking folks, you know, run a shop in Nkandla.
Yeah.
And, you know, send their kids, they pretty much gave you guys the best that they could.
Yeah.
You know, your dad is this firm, respected man in the community. And then 2016, you lose him to cancer.
Yeah.
But obviously with the cancer journey, you watch a person that was strong wither away slowly.
Yeah.
How's that impacting not only yourself, but the family dynamic?
Sure. Yeah, that was hard, Fresh, because you know Dad, because every morning, even on the farm, he was a fitness fanatic.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, he's a staunch dude.
Yeah, I mean, you run 5Ks these days in less than 28 minutes, which is congratulations on your health journey.
Yes.
So he was on that tip. He would run, he would jog, because he used to do boxing before.
Yeah.
He would skip. You would hear in the morning.
Yeah.
He would do headstands and what in his neck, and so he was really a health fanatic.
He was Superman.
No, he was no.
Yeah.
He was a caddy, played golf. I don't even know what golf was, but it looked strange to me as someone who was not inducted in terms of golf. But he did all of those things. I mean, it lacks of obviously being a caddy, and he praat Afrikaans, so he weet wat om te sê and bar and whatever. So I mean, I talk rubbish Afrikaans, but he knew it, and that's why in the Afrikaner community, when we went to Vryheid and stuff, they also just loved him because he would be able to communicate. So 2016 happens, and because it's so sudden, it's a case of we're all trying to look after my mom, who's had her back up, and she's had a knee replacement, and then all of a sudden, here we are. Somebody who's starting to fall ill, and my mother's the one that's worried, and they're both not well, and he gets taken into hospital. Initially, doctors love money, and at times, I don't know what happens with some of the doctors in Durban, but there's a strong case of people that they give you, fake diagnosis, telling you you're fine, give you painkillers, and give you all sorts of things. So we were just thinking, okay, it's a phase, he'll be fine. It just gets worse. And then he gets a proper doctor, gives him a diagnosis. He says, we are afraid to tell you as a family, but your dad has stage 4 cancer. Yeah. So it's literally that stage now where a couple of weeks later, doctor comes, we're all there by his bedside. We're afraid there's not much we can do. It needs palliative care, and we can recommend a couple of places for you to take him there. So when they talk all of these things, I mean, it's foreign to me, but that all they're saying is, any day now,
you're waiting.
This is going to happen.
It's a waiting.
So you're waiting. So they, as doctors, aren't going to try anything. They're not going to try to administer anything anymore. Sure. They've done their job, and it's really up to the man above to do it. But I'm glad that one was able to be by his bedside.
Sure.
When
and say goodbye.
And say goodbye, because on that day he was very quiet. He didn't speak. He didn't really say much around the bed. My mom was there. My sister Vanessa was there. And then my mom just had the intuition to ask that we call, our priest who presided over the mass ceremonies at St. Faith's. And he came through to the hospital. I think my mom kind of got the energy that something was going to happen.
Sure.
And believe it or not, it was on the day I'm supposed to go do the radio show at 6 at the Durban studios. But then at the time, I put out a call to the program's manager, and that stage it was about 4:30. I know it's late.
Sure.
Excuse me, but I just say to him, listen, there's a bit of a situation. They knew I was in Durban for that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it for the show. Can you please get somebody else to stand in for me? And, true to goodness, he took his last breath at 6:50. So that would be, literally 10 to 7. Ordinarily, if I had gone to the studio, I would have still been on air.
Yes.
And would have missed that opportunity just to be there with my mom, with the priest, with my sister, and just to say goodbye and farewell to him in that moment. So it was a decision that was taken with a purpose, not a bearer of good news, but I think also it gives you the kind of strength when you look back to say you walked the walk and you were with them until the very last moment.
Absolutely. At his funeral, you spoke about how your dad often would call you just to chat or check on you. Or if he had no news, he'd tell you stories.
Yeah.
What are some of the conversations you miss having with him that you know you'd be having this week?
Yeah.
Literally this week in your life.
He was very politically driven.
Yeah.
So he probably would have watched the town hall interview
with Trump.
With Trump last night.
Yes.
So Caitlin would have moved from being a White House correspondent to being someone who wants to obviously now be the big deal at CNN, where people like, Don lost his job when, a couple of weeks ago. But you can see she's edging towards that.
Yes.
And she was not a big Trump fan. Obviously, CNN has never been a big Trump fan at all. But I think what they gave to him with that town hall was almost to say, hey, Walt, vote for this man.
Yeah.
And yet he's facing all of these crazy
And this
charges.
is 2 days after being found guilty of assault.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we all know what a liar Trump is.
Yes.
We know what a manipulator Trump is.
In fact, the fact that he still talks about a stolen election without even a shadow of evidence is a problem.
He never did.
But he carries on about it. Yeah.
He never did.
Okay, so your dad would be talking to you about that.
So you probably would be talking about that, and also just talking about how the interview was handled. Do I think that it was done well, and all the flack that CNN is getting right now, because people are saying, I'm not going to be watching anymore. Stuff this channel. You guys have done the worst thing.
You're turning into Fox.
Basically the same Fox that everybody is criticizing. So that will be very, very topical in our chat.
What would he feel about the politics of the day in the country?
Very disappointed. Very disappointed. He spoke a lot of politics because my grandfather, being a Anglican bishop at the time, and then later on became the Speaker of the House in the KwaZulu Legislative Assembly, because Umntwana kaPhindangene, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, got him when he retired from, being a bishop at the time, to go and head up and be the Speaker of the House. So politics always revolved within the house, and he also got along, with Umntwana kaPhindangene, and they spoke politics. And politics was always there. Other friends as well that he had. He was very good friends with, Judge Vuga Shabalala, and Judge Vuga would always come to the house and they would chat. So he would be very disappointed because he knows what a battle it was for the likes of Archbishop Hamilton Zulu, who fought part of that struggle, to now hand themselves over to what he would call, criminal syndicates. And it's not because we putting names to things. You just got to look around. Trying to get downtown is a mission. We've accepted load shedding, and I don't understand. I don't understand where the fighting South Africans have gone. We now just look at load shedding schedules. We want an app to tell us we're going to have no lights. But when your bill comes through, it's a double the amount of money that you would pay when you have 24 hours of electricity.
And even when
they still go ahead.
And even when they cut you off, you're not as angry as you ought to be.
For me, it's a bit strange. Or is it this artificial economy that exists in this country? I don't know. I don't know if you've seen, like Joburg. Before there was a weekend would start maybe with the Puza Thursday, going into Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday. These days, your Sunday is like your Friday. And then Monday becomes a Mokhodu Monday, which then becomes a Saturday. but it's still groove.
Yeah.
And then they formulate something on a Wednesday. And
Become a groove nation.
so the whole week.
Yeah.
There's no end in sight. And I'm thinking, where is this fake or false economy coming from, where people obviously clearly they don't work,
Sure.
but they're able to buy,
They have money to spend.
they've got big money to
They're
spend.
buying big bottles.
Yeah. 100K a night is nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that is another thing, whether people are just not fighting because they are comfortable in this false economy. But the day we wake up, you know, sadly, and I think Mziligazi wa Africa wrote one of the best books where he says, when there's nothing left to steal. And when this country wakes up and there's nothing literally left to steal, you'd walk into the studio, fresh, and you walk in and you can't even find anything of value to steal. That is where we're heading to.
Yo. Let's change gear a bit. So you've been involved in various controversies, as it were.
Yeah.
And often it's a departure from either SuperSport or an SABC or Metro FM. Looking back at all that drama that transpired during those different areas of your life, is there anything you feel you could have done differently or that you should have done differently?
I think doing anything differently, Fresh, would mean I would conform.
Yeah.
So the answer to that is no. I would still say the same things. And the beautiful thing is that nobody can tell me what I did wrong.
Yeah.
But when you're given an instruction from outside of SABC, from outside of SuperSport, and you are told by that individual that get rid of this guy, then you know yourself that there is nothing they can say to you, you did wrong.
Sure.
They can't go on air and say, we're going to replay this moment where you messed up, or there was dead air, or you flouted, you didn't do a live read, you didn't do whatever. There is nothing. Till today, there's nothing. But they will go, like they did at MultiChoice, and go lie to, you know, the Putumanani shareholders and say that, no, we had to get rid of Robert because we wanted to give an opportunity to a female to be, you know, one of the next best thing. And I'm saying, absolute nonsense. Just tell them why you got rid of this chap.
In fact, I remember when you dropped the tweet about the fact that you've just received an SMS or a WhatsApp that don't bother coming in for your, I think it was your
Friday show.
The Friday show.
Yeah, which was the last show I was going to do.
Yes.
Say goodbye.
Well, according to that contract period, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But the next day, then SuperSport sent a tweet out saying, no, we told Robert earlier in the week that we're going to be giving other people a chance. But in my mind, I'm thinking, when you're operating at that level as a corporation, there's no way you're deciding that week
to give others a chance.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no way in that week Robert should not know that we're either extending or something. It can't just be don't come in on Friday.
Yeah.
Take us through that madness. What are you thinking as all of this is happening?
Yeah.
Surely it felt like a bad dream.
A bad dream that is expected.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're a teenager, you're told by your parents, expect at some point you'll have a wet dream. So when it happens, you're like, this is what they were telling me about.
Yes.
You know, but I don't want to be Dr. Eve at this stage. The bottom line is that, Fresh, as strange as this might seem, when I would sign a contract, and I know it's a 3-year contract, and I go back to the SABC, I knew then that has made somebody very unhappy. SABC should not have taken me back, as much as I didn't want to come back. But I knew.
I was going to say, why did you go back?
I went back
knowing what you know.
So when my daughter, the current CEO, asked, and I had said to him no, and I said no, and I said no, and I told him why. But he pleaded. He seemed like a very genuine person. We went and we met at Melrose Arch and we spoke, and he told me his vision and what he wants to do. And he said, I'll absorb all the pressure, focus on the job and so on. And in the end, because I could hear the outcry, especially after 5 people have done my radio show in a space of a year, that it was more of a public yearning for the voice to come back. That was the only reason why I decided, okay, fine, maybe let me give it one more crack. But the minute I signed, I knew that in 3 years, I am going to get the boot.
You're not coming back, yes.
I am not coming back.
Yeah.
Because that individual who makes the instructions has already told them that you have messed up. Why did you bring him back? Because the plan was to get me radio unemployed and TV unemployed at the same time.
Jeez.
You know, so that I'm there out in the streets, Kona, Malibongwe, and what, and asking for whatever it is that I'm asking for. But it didn't happen that way. So it was very unexpected. But also the modus operandi has been the same. When I left SABC the first time, TV, SABC Sport, I never got a chance to say goodbye to the audience that I served.
Yeah.
So they did the same thing. Don't come through for the last show. Boom. So I never said goodbye to the audience of SABC Sport or Soccer Zone or anything else. Never mind that it was the second most rated show after Generations for many, many years and brought in a lot of money at the SABC. So never got a chance. So the same thing happens at radio.
Yeah.
The same thing happens again at Supersport in 2019 in May. Don't bother to come to the last show. So there was always a fear about me having the power of the microphone to do the last show. And the fear came from them.
Sure.
It came from the instructor.
Was it a justified fear, though?
It wasn't. What am I going to do? Call for anarchy
You could
in
go,
the country?
you could go Trump and get people to go to the capital.
To the capital and trash it. No, I'm not bitter. One thing about me is that I'm not bitter.
Yeah.
If you fire me, like we had the guest on that Friday being Zama Masondo, I was going to chat to Zama.
Sure.
And then I was going to say goodbye to the people, let them know that this is my last show.
I'm done, yes.
So then they go and lie and say, no, the contract came to an end.
Abruptly.
No, that came to an end. So that's the story they sell. So you know, with the little bit of law that I did and you did,
Yeah.
that you got to honor the contract until the end.
Exactly.
So if my last show was supposed to be my last day contractually,
Yeah.
and you have prevented me from doing that, that is in effect
Yeah.
me being fired.
Sure.
Yeah. So you can't say, oh, the contract came to an end. No, it didn't.
Yeah.
You know, so people need to
You
stop
pushed me
lying.
before I could walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And walk away from an audience that still wanted the individual. So that's why I'm saying that I wouldn't have done anything differently. Anything differently would have amounted to me conforming, you know, how, yes, so, okay, so you want me to not ask that question? Okay, I must not ask for this. So I wasn't going to do that because it was going to talk against my beliefs and what I believe should be done in the space that I was working in.
There's a new board at the SABC. The call comes in.
Sorry, can we have a mic? I think there's a problem with this mic. Technical.
Now, when the madness at Supersport is happening, you sent a tweet saying, one day we will know. It might cost me my life, but we will know. It had a lot of people speculating and it had a lot of people panicked. What was that about?
Yeah, I wasn't exaggerating because you got to understand from where the call comes from, Fresh, that it is about life and death.
Sure.
And yeah, there have been attempts on my life.
For real?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And even at the times when people were saying I'm in hospital because of a heart attack, and my third heart attack or whatever,
Yeah.
I never had 3 heart attacks.
Yeah.
Never. But yeah, I ended up in ICU. But it was very...
Are you saying it was by design that you had cardiac events?
No, the two were purely cardiac and health related.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Yeah.
So
And then you had a third health scare.
that's the one that was a direct threat
Oh, wow.
on my life.
Oh, wow.
So that was never a heart attack. So they reported it as being a heart attack, which I was like, oh, fine. These trash ploids can write anything. So let them write that I had a heart attack. So next time they'll write that I had a kneecap that was facing the wrong direction. So let them write because they have the power to write. But yeah, I think 2 heart attacks are scary. But I think that particular one made me feel like I was losing my life, even in a more serious light. I felt the presence of my life just being sucked away when I was there. And you know, one of my sisters would be able to bear testimony to that, because when she came into the ICU and she had a look at me, and I remember her face. It was a face of somebody that said, probably looking at a corpse here.
What, I'm here to say goodbye?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So 2 heart attacks, a health scare, and then COVID ICU on top of that.
Yeah.
What's your relationship with mortality right now? Also, given that you lose your dad to stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
You lose your friend Xolani Gwala to stage 4 cancer.
Yeah. It is on the...
Dude, you've been through a ton, man.
It is on the David Keka and... I mean, my best friend at high school, Obrinjo, who died of a car accident. We were burying his brother just 2 weeks ago.
So, in fact, my question is twofold.
Crazy.
My question is twofold. What's your relationship like with your mortality? And do you ever suffer survivor's guilt, given how many people you are burying?
Oh. Yeah, tough question.
I'm not here for easy questions.
No, she's...
I'm from the Robert Marawa School of Interviews.
The big dog. Hey, the big dog in the house. Jeez. Yeah, death is something, boss, and seeing it, living it, and extremely close to it. And when the COVID one happened, I think I almost asked myself, why am I back here? Yeah. Like, I know exactly how ICU works now.
Yeah.
It was all too familiar. Everything was just too familiar, but also the ones that I've lost. And I always think they were so young. They had so much. They had families and loved ones and all these things. But I always believe, though, Fresh, that in my special time and moment when I do pray and I connect with the man above, I do ask him about the purpose for which he allows me to live every time.
Yes.
And I think I might not know the bigger person or purpose. I might not know it because I am not God. He is. And that is why I reach out to him and I ask him, what is the purpose presented to me? And I'm willing to do what it takes to fulfill that, because I have no right to be on this earth right now. You know, I have no right to be on this earth. I have come so close so many times that I don't believe that me being here on this show with you is a space that I ought to be in. It should be somebody else, because I should be a memory where people now and again, if ever they remember that there was a Robert Marawa that lived, they would, you know, do a shout out now and again. I don't believe that I should be here, but he believes, and that's the only person I think that really matters.
So you don't believe you should be here based on what you've been through?
Because based on what I've been through and what other people...
But why do you think you're still here?
For that purpose. Yeah. I really, really think that purpose is manifesting itself. Yeah. And I get emboldened by that. Sure. I'm made stronger by that. And anybody who's human who wants to break that faces a very difficult task. Yeah. In terms of that. I mean, I just never spoke about it to anybody, but it was, about 2 weeks ago. I just driving down Uranium in Fourways, and I hate pouring petrol at night. Yeah. But that day I had to, because I had an early morning and, you know, petrol was already flashing. Yeah. Do something. So I'll stop and I get to the Bowser, pour petrol, a petrol attendant. Yeah, it was just strolling away. But in the back of my eye and my mind, I see on Uranium a car. So there's a BP garage where the Super Spa is. So this car, which looks like one of these Uber type of cars, typical Uber. Yeah, you know, dark windows and the usual. So it goes past, pay no mind to it. But literally about 2 or 3 minutes later, same car then comes back up Uranium. Jeez. Comes into the BP. And then thankfully I've paid. And then the guy starts to approach. So I have all these flashbacks, thanks to Yusuf Abramji's videos that we see all the time about the modus operandi. And I see this car approach. And I just put flat on. Yeah. And I go. And I get back on Uranium, onto William Nicol, and I drive, and these guys give chase. Jeez. You know. But I did a Schumacher on that road that I had to leave them behind. But again, I don't know what it was. Was it just a typical hijacking? Was it going to be...
were they opportunists or were they sent?
Yeah. So you never know, because I never got there. And it's such a mission just trying to get the footage now, you know, for us to see and identify that particular vehicle.
Do you live in fear?
Ah, man, not when God's around. Yeah, God, other people have and live in fear for me. But again, I say to you, Fresh, that show me one thing or a group of things that I have said that warrants for me and my life to come to an end. Yes, you've ended, sir, my working life at certain spaces. You have abruptly brought an end to certain journeys. But bringing an end to my life is a big thing to take away. And if then you fail with the others in your word, then what would it take? You know, I always feel that sometimes, you know, the older people get, the more time they should spend with their grandchildren and go to Kruger National Park and, you know, spend their money, you know, just be useful around, as opposed to trying to chase down individual people that are just trying to make a difference in society.
Now, you did, well, Room Dividers. Yeah, Room Dividers, I feel, is often in terms of what the in fact, for those that don't know what Room Dividers is, please just initiate the uninitiated.
Yeah, so Room Dividers was a very hard-hitting rugby show. It was a hard-hitting rugby show. Lawrence Sipaka, former Springbok, Tando Manana, former Springbok, the late Kaunda Ndunja, who worked as a commentator, Isaklosa at Supersport, were all part of it as a panel.
But you guys have ruffled so many feathers. You guys made so many people uncomfortable under the collar. But you guys were unrelenting. Tell us about that.
We had to find ways of making the broader, especially the white society, realize that rugby is not a domain of white people. Rugby is played in the main in Eastern Cape, a lot of black people. There's a lot of black history. I even did, I remember doing an awards show many years ago. Darren Scott was still around at the Sandton Convention Center, where they were giving Springbok jerseys, many years later, to people who deserved to have been given those Springbok jerseys, but they couldn't earn them because of the apartheid system. And there was like 1,000 people at the convention center. So looking at that, and that made me realize that, you know what, this system is messed up. Let's not play games here. Then I gotten to know Tando, very straightforward, didn't mince his words. Kaunda knows his game, knows the stats. Lawrence also. So they were very varied in terms of how they do things. Obviously, it was difficult for the late Kaunda because he was working at Supersport. Now you're at Supersport, and here you are with this hated Robert guy, and you guys are going on about transformation. But we did, and that is why, you know, the then Minister of Sport was not happy about the whole thing. Approached the SABC, spoke to Claudi, who at the time was the CEO, COO, but he was heading up the SABC. In all of that, the attempts to get rid of me and to get rid of the Room Dividers did not work. And remember, Fresh, these guys would come every Tuesday. I tried to get them to be paid. And they never got paid from day one to day last. They refused to sign contracts with them or even just pay them anything. So they gave off their own, but that's how strongly they felt about the show and what they were doing to change that society.
Siya Kolisi winning for the Springboks in Japan, was that a vindication for the Room Dividers?
Oh, big one. Jeez. Because there were even attempts to start getting rid of him. You know, how do you have a captain being on the bench more than any other player? So they had started these little attempts to try and isolate.
The wheels were in motion.
So they were there. So the run-on team that was in Japan was the most of any Rugby World Cup in the history of this country to have as many players of color run onto the field. And when we look back and we said, wow, hey.
So it was worth it.
In a big way. Till today, it is worth it when you see those guys. I know a lot of the players are still afraid to come onto any of the platforms because of how they feel. And I know marketing people that worked within Saru, they were also saying, get rid of this guy. And get rid of this guy how? Because I'm not saying these things at Supersport. I'm saying them on radio for the benefit of radio.
Absolutely.
We are handling it for cricket as well.
Yeah.
That's why they had those SJN hearings with Advocate Dumisan Sabeza.
Yeah.
It was after the stories that the black cricket players were telling. So in trying to panel beat that was wrong is painful for the society that's become so used to things in a certain way and not opening up. Then they would use silly words like, you see, the quota system is not working. But no one spoke about the quota system.
Yeah.
Quota system is just like, I have 2 black players.
Yeah.
But who says you must get 2?
Give
Because what if
everyone
it's-
a chance on merit, full stop. But everyone.
Fresh, if you look at what's happening at the Sharks, they have that starting 15, the most black players of any franchise, because they know where they're going with that. And one day, South Africans shouldn't be afraid to wake up to a Springbok team of just 15 black people.
Yeah.
That is South Africa.
And that is also okay.
And that is okay.
It's okay.
So shout. I mean, if you beat Van Zyl, from wherever you come from, shout for the guys, because, I think Abom Kwanas, they've been shouting for guys that they didn't know themselves, but because it was South African, it was Springbok. Hey, actually be lucky that the Springbok animal still exists on that jersey.
In fact, I remember when Gareth Cliff had drama at Idols.
Yes.
And I'd called him out on his utterances.
Yeah.
And a white dude said to me, but anyway, he stopped watching Idols. And he asked me, I think it's becoming a bit too black. And I'm like, on a black continent, this is Africa. Why would Idols be anything but majority black kids singing?
Yeah.
That's the majority of the country. Why should it be anything else?
Yeah.
It didn't make sense.
But it still does.
That people would think that it's okay to even say this thing has become too black. We are a flipping black country.
And a continent.
A continent.
Yeah. But that's the mentality that when you teach your kids that when Jan van Riebeck came to the Cape, he discovered the Cape.
Yeah, there were nothing before that.
Yeah, but he came across a whole lot of black individuals who actually worked on those farms and whatever. Yeah. So surely in their world, there were ants, and here was the savior who came in and discovered the Cape. Yeah. So whether it's him or Willem and Simon van der Stel, hey, they were cool. We got to learn about them, but they taught us nonsense history.
Yeah.
That is absolute rubbish history that should not even be looked at, because that is, again, the discourse of South African history was off-ramped in a big way in terms of that. So, yeah, Idols will be very black. The judges will be very black because the continent and the country is extremely black.
And one day Mnet will be very black, if it's not already.
Hey, I'm sure. I know. And the crazy thing is, things like that happen even in Carte Blanche. And people say, oh, Carte Blanche, is that still on air? I don't really watch it anymore.
Yeah.
And you can tell that the pain has got to do with
the transformation.
Yeah, maybe Ruda's not there anymore.
The inclusivity.
So
it's not
who
the
are
same.
these?
Yeah.
But you know what? That is such a slight on the hard work that has been done by the current people at Carte Blanche, the people behind the scenes, the researchers, the producers, the presenters, and so on. But again, it's a mentality thing. It's an entitlement thing. If we watch Carte Blanche, then they should be this one and that one. If they're not there, it's a Hong Kong, and it's not.
Let's talk about some of the ironies of your career. You often ask uncomfortable questions, whether it's to administrators, soccer managers, or whomever needs to be called out.
Yeah.
You've always been that guy. People have come on to any of your shows knowing that I will be asked questions that I need to answer. But when the chips were falling at some stage, it was the very same guys that you've asked uncomfortable questions that were speaking on your behalf about the fact that the culture can't afford to lose you. Was that not a contradiction in terms for you?
But that's forked tongue speak again.
Yeah.
And that is why it's important that even in your will, the best thing to do as dead as you'll be in that coffin is to leave behind a note that says, I would love for this sector of society not to come to the stage and talk and say anything or pass condolences. Let them stay at home, watch Netflix, and be happy. Have a spit braai that this guy is now gone. But don't come to the stage and say, I who represent what within the soccer fraternity would love to send our condolences. No. Don't do that. Stay at home. Because if you're going to try to fight your way into the program, you're not going to win because the program's going to reject you.
Sure.
You know. So yeah, again, waste of oxygen. People just love to talk because they can. But they also want to give a side to them to show that they are not the ones that this guy had been talking about that were out for me. Yeah.
So it might be a decoy even.
Yeah, so it's almost like a reverse psychology. Like, look, we were great friends and we went to this show.
I've got a picture with him here.
Yeah, we took a show here. Hey, we were doing a certain show on, you know, back in the days, and this is a photo, and we were smiling and we were happy. No. You know, we're not kids, man. I think sometimes people think that as adults we slowly become children, and yet we don't. It's actually the other way around. The older people become the children, because as much as they started wearing nappies, the older they get, they end up wearing the nappies again. But don't think that everybody gets to be the fool that they think. You know, Tina, we are just dumb cops. No, we're not, and we never will be.
Now, is it Graham Joffe that left the country?
Yeah, under pressure.
Yes, I mean, Graham Joffe, he spoke truth to power.
Yeah.
He took no prisoners.
Yeah.
But it was also at a cost.
To him.
At a cost to him.
Yeah.
You know, death threats on his safety. He had to relocate to the US.
Yeah.
You being a father and having those responsibilities also, don't you often sometimes, even just with yourself, feel like, I don't want to touch this hot potato because I've got my safety to worry about. I've got a son to raise. Or is it a case of, I'm going to ask what needs to be asked because it's the right thing to do?
Well, it is the right thing to do. Strangely, you are saying the SABC TV license payoff line the minute you say that. So I get where you're going, sir. But, you know, in all seriousness, when presented with something, obviously I go through the research. I go through whether or not it is worthy of going on air. Is it something that I can fully handle and back up and have substantive arguments to put on the table? But if I feel, no, it can't be, I won't back down because of fear that it will offend somebody. You know, it will be of value to the people. And that's why, I mean, why would people have a backlash about, you know, some, you know, sport anchor who does a 1 hour, 30-minute show on radio? You know, when people are given 3 hours to change the world, I get given an hour, 30 minutes to try and do something. But there would be this backlash. And I always ask myself, why is it that? You know, clearly I don't see myself as being any special. But I think that the work that I do does trigger within people something that they appreciate in terms of its purity and its clarity, and being devoid of any of these so-called attempted sidetracks of thought.
Why is it that the backlash is often from up here, but down here the people are happy that you're talking about these things?
Yeah, because I get to the up here's, those are the ones that are making sure even now in general society that we don't even have a rail infrastructure, that we've got potholes, that we don't have lights, that, you know, SAA has probably got about 6 aircraft that can fly around, and whereas that was our national airline. That is the here, you know, the here that wants to build mansions with 22 bedrooms and 14 Ferraris and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. And that is a culture that we can't afford to have, because what does that do? If you go back, whether it is Soweto, why haven't we, or any other township around the country, because there's so many black people fresh that have lots of money, apparently, why can't we get together and say, what is a Michael House today and what is a Hilton today? We will build in our township.
Yes.
But no, we want to follow. want to follow. Where's the direction we want to go
we'd
here?
rather take our kids to Michael House than build a decolonized African version of it.
Yeah. Well,
Where we
even
can build our own leaders.
in those institutions. Give them the history that we were talking about earlier was taught to us, but you make sure that the curriculum is such that when these guys grow up, they don't have a mess where people are entitled because they feel that, you know, they were part of the struggle. So part of the struggle, what is the exchange? You become minister of sanitization.
Yeah.
And yet you know nothing about water, you know nothing about farming, you know nothing about any of these portfolios that you get given, but you're supposed to lead because you fought the good fight, now is the exchange. Yes,
Sure.
we must thank the people that fought, but we must also get to a stage now where we say, thank you. Now we need CEOs of South Africa to run South Africa so that we win in the similar way that New Zealand is able to have even a female prime minister who is able
under
to
40.
who's very young. You know, Namibia's got a 30, or I don't know, I think Patricia's probably in her late 20s, but she's a minister in Namibian politics. And she travels the world.
Rwanda doing the same. Very young ministers.
I mean, Paul Kagame, my goodness, what he has done to transform that country. You don't even find a can of Coke in the street. You know, I'm just talking from just an aesthetic perspective, but also just the politics, the attraction of the country now in terms of the economy and investment and so on. How are you going to invest here? You know, our traffic lights and intersections are being run by anybody. And the guys are there asking for money at the same time as directing traffic and having a sip of something. That is where the big economy of the continent is, where that is a sign of the country, is that we are directionless. So if anybody off the street can direct in major intersections in the country, then that says that even the country and its leaders are the same as the people in those intersections.
So are you saying that perhaps we are rudderless? That even the homeless are directing traffic now?
The homeless have found a home in the middle of the road. You know, we're not going to trash talk that, but those are some of the subtle,
the signs.
And if, Tina, we just want to be happy with going to Vibe every weekend. We're going to wake up to something very sorrowful in this country one day, and there will be no Vibe. There'll be nothing for us to celebrate.
Marawa Sports Worldwide. I mean, you've started a movement there. Tell us about the arena relationship. How did that come about? Briefly.
So remember, I'm now broadcasting unemployed.
Oh, yes, you are.
So I've got no job. I've got time to finally go home and spend time with my mother, which was, you know, a 2-month period, and get to have chats with her.
In fact, I remember we had various meetings in that
time.
And often we'd say, Rob, where are you? Sorry, I'm with my mother right now. I'm driving back tomorrow.
I'm on the N3. Okay, must I park on the side of the road so we can have a, you know. But that was my life. And people don't realize that from the age of 6, you're at boarding school, you're away from home. You only see parents 4 times in a year. And now here's an opportunity, obviously thanks as well, you know, to the lockdown and so on. I was able to be home, unemployed, yes. Was I crying? Mom was disappointed. Family was, obviously. But I was there to reassure her that, no, all is going to be okay. And then obviously the trip to Egypt, which happened just straight after, within the time when I was fired, because I was fired in May 2019. Africa Cup of Nations happened in Egypt in June. Then I was asked to go and do an event that side. And while I'm there, obviously I'm not used to being a VIP and sitting, clapping hands and so on. So I took out my phone and started interviewing. There's Pierre Issa. We haven't seen him since he scored own goals in 98. There's so-and-so, there's so-and-so. And I started doing all these videos.
You started doing things that the networks here should have been doing.
They should have been doing. So it was immediate. It was there. And
it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer.
But so I came back and I did the show. So it was the listeners who said, why are you back? Please go back to Egypt. Which was a strange thing. But I listened. Got a gentleman called Kyle Westman. He joined me. And so now it's going to be another phone that we're going to need. So we bought another Samsung at the airport, and off we went to Egypt.
Wow.
And we captured the most fascinating things because, again, thanks to contacts, I can reach out to Semi Kufor, Samuel Eto, all the guys who were there. And, you know, we make magical content, and we were able to send it back. And that's how Marawa TV came about. So Arena, we had a couple of conversations on and on and on and on. You know, when there's too many people around in the boardroom, decisions are tough, eh?
And all you want to do is broadcast.
Yeah. So it took one individual where I said, Prapule, let me come and meet you. So in the same boardroom that used to be filled with bodies, it was just myself and him. And in that meeting, 45 minutes, we had an agreement that we're going to start this thing. And that's how the Arena deal came about. But you know, people thought, no, I'm working for Rise, I'm working for Vuma, and it wasn't.
Are you working for Sowetan? What's going on?
No, I'm not working for them. They belong to Arena.
Sure.
Arena.
They're plugging into you.
Yeah.
Basically.
So my deal with Arena is as a partner. We have a partnership with Arena, and it so happens that Rise and Vuma and Sowetan Live are all part of it. So in a nutshell, that's where it is. It's a movement, and it's there even now at 947.
I was going to say, so how does 947 then come into that mix?
So 947, I think the wisdom of Jonathan, who obviously is there to change a lot of things.
Very bright mind.
When he told me his history, and he threw back to Pop Radio and Pop TV, where you know his foundation was. I looked and I said, this is a broadcasting man. Crazy ideas that he has, but hey, I'm equally crazy myself. You know, initially I'm not too sure. Hey, 947, and you know, I haven't really listened to the station much, but we always willing to start a new journey. And when somebody gives you the reassurance that this is what he wants, and there's a broader perspective of what he wants, then you buy into it. So they were more than happy. So now 947, which is what Joburg station, Rise FM, Vuma FM, Sowetan Live, it's all one big family. So when we start at 6 o'clock, it's not just 947, it's everybody else. So you can get a guy who's listening in Dundee, Glencoe, Newcastle, Babanang, Nkandla, Sandlwane, wherever.
Hashtag syndication, baby.
100. Oh, man. And that was on the back of about 10,000 meetings as Fired FM. Can you believe it, hey?
Do you think we will get to Fired FM?
As the four individuals?
Yes.
Yeah, Fired FM should have happened. I have no doubt that...
I think it should have happened, but we were speaking to the wrong investors who didn't probably have the full...
trust and faith at the time.
And they're probably seeing it now that, oh shit, maybe we should have.
in a big way. Well, so yeah, Touch is rummaging gospel there on a Tuesday and every other day, and he's having a lot of fun, which is great. And I mean, here you are here, you know, smooth on my timeline every day. If he's not fighting, you know, more fire fights, he's fighting something. But that's a beautiful thing, because being an entrepreneur and being a very vocal somebody, people want to hear what he says. People want to hear what Fresh says. People want to follow Touch. And it was such a widespread, man. It had every ingredient of it working. And I think you and I started saying that, this delay feels very uncomfortable.
In fact, I think myself and Rob were the most vocal about, no guys, we're wasting time here. No guys, we're wasting time here. No guys, we're wasting time here. In fact, I even quit the job I was doing.
I remember.
I quit the job I was doing because I was ready to run.
And we were that close. We were really that close to running. And people have been blown away. I know that there was talk about, but it's going to be online. We can't afford, we can't do this.
It was bigger than online.
It was bigger than online.
The plan was bigger than online.
And remember at the stage, my Arena thing had happened, and I'd openly said that. So maybe in the end, when individuals write their book, they might say, no, but Robert left and he went to Arena. But no. I openly said from the first meeting.
Life happened.
That this has happened. But we are willing to plug and play
everything in there.
Because in the end, how do you limit radio? How do you limit radio?
Exactly.
So you have Fired FM. We could have been exactly the same platforms where MSW is now, or even broader, given your reach in terms of the people that follow you, geographically, and obviously the music that you do that people love. So it would have been bigger than where we are now. But I always say, I'm happy to be here on your show.
Sure.
I'm happy for what is happening with Touch and with DJ Sbu.
Sure.
But Fired FM is a concept. I think it's hovering around.
I think watch the space. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Aren't you happy, though, to be working with a broadcaster like Prime Media, where it's about the product? I'm not here to be your friend. I might not even like you, Rob, but if we're making a product that works, it's about the product. Don't you appreciate that about Prime Media?
It's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
And in my entire broadcasting career, I have never had the kind of warmth, appreciation, welcome, hands on deck approach that
what do you need to make it work easier? What do you need?
Dude, you know what is strange? And this is funny. And hopefully when they do watch, they'll get to understand, because I'm then, even if I arrive 2 hours early, the habit of me sitting in the car is still there. Because at SABC, even if I arrived early, I would sit in the car. Because number one, there was no working space for you to work and prep and finalize your work. There was no readily available desktop or laptop or computer that you would have or be ready for. It was worse when you had Radio 2000. You know, I think you got a far bigger studio here than they had. So I would sit in the car. Again, avoiding politics, avoiding drama. I've done my prep at home. I don't arrive at work and only begin my prep when I'm there. So the habit was I would sit in the car until I hear the news jingle, and it's 6 o'clock. Then I get out the car. Then I walk in. It's enough time for me to walk in, to be straight in, start the show, go on air. So at Prime Media, they have like a whole room for me where I can do my prep. The guests come through. There's a lounge, there's a couch, there's a fridge. A fridge. I didn't believe that, because I would have to stop at that engine garage by Mill Park every time. I mean, I would bump into Undoro there on his way to the SABC. But I would be buying like 4 still waters and 4 Powerades for my guests. So that I could give them from my pocket. So now here, hey man, there's a fridge. Hey guys,
they get
what do you want?
Get it. Yeah, they get it.
You know, orange juice, you want a Coke, water, sparkling still. Because it's about the product. It's not about me. So there, they'll be saying, but who's Robert to demand a room or to want us to bring drinks or a fridge or whatever? And it's a priceless thing. And we get great guests who just have an unbelievable experience when they get to 947 and Prime Media. You know what? That is broadcasting the way it should be. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to have to wrap it up. We are running out of time.
Sure.
But I want to talk beef quickly.
Got beef with me?
No, I've never had beef with you. The only time I had beef with you was when we had lunch. Hello, people. You and Fikile Mbalula. Is there beef? Isn't there beef?
Oh, bro, Figs. I was actually looking at a picture of Oskido Mbalula and myself when he came and intervened as the peacemaker.
No, Oskido is like he's the quintessential peace guy. So
and that was in 2017, I think. I actually looked at this picture. It came up as a reminder literally this week, 2 days ago. It was there. I don't think there was beef. I'm like very honest in the same way that if there's going to be something said, whether it was a Twitter war tour or whether it was something to do with what we were saying in the room dividers on the show. I mean, for God's sake, you're the Minister of Sport. What do you think we have to be doing here? We have to be accountable.
We're not here to mollycoddle you.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the crazy thing, and again, because I've got to balance things out, I'd always seen, you know, friend sometimes is used and but I would see him as somebody that we got along with. We got along so much that Fikile Mbalula even attended my dad's funeral in 2016. So he was there. If he thought, you know, I'm a piece of rubbish, that would have never happened. You know, but even with that, even with other people that were at the funeral who don't talk to me today, probably thought that, oh, if I get closer to him, he won't challenge me on radio. I have a job to do on radio. I don't care if you're going to invite me for your braai, your dinners, or I don't care for those
your
things.
child's circumcision. It doesn't matter. You know?
So for me, that stuff does not matter. I will say what needs to be said because I have a responsibility to put that out. So in terms of a beef with Mbalula, no, there might be another Twitter war in the future. If it calls for that, it calls for that. He is somebody who has to be accountable to the public. It's not a personal thing. Never was, never will be.
Beef with Safa?
Beef with Safa. Again, same story. I hate where football is right now. I hate the fact that we've become a laughingstock of the entire continent. I hate the fact that the Bafana Bafana can't even qualify for many major tournaments. Yeah, we scraped into the latest AFCON.
Yeah, but failed to get into the next Olympics.
We failed to do everything. Under 17, you know, Morocco made a mincemeat out of them the other day, last night. So what I'm basically saying is, where football is, and given the richness of talent in this country, we shouldn't be. We should be at least in the top 5 rated on the continent. We should be, like Clive Barker put us in the top 20 in terms of the world. And yet we're hovering in the 60s and, you know, we're almost touching the 20s on the continent. That is a joke. I mean, for a country like this, that is a joke. So having SAFA to be accountable has got to do with their job. South African Football Association. What are you doing? You, the mother body, you're supposed to be making sure that we become a success, that we are as excited, fresh as we were back in 1996. And I think on that score, they're failing. Yes, Lyle Foster, good for him. His team is qualified through to the EPL. But we don't have the spread of players like we had a Sean Bartlett, a Mark Fresh, a Benny McCarthy, a Lucas Khadebe, that were able to walk in and out, Stephen Pienaar, into the EPL. We don't have that anymore.
In terms of sports administrators in this country, not just soccer, it seems like guys want to be there forever.
Oh, yeah.
How do we change that? You've got guys who've been administrators for 30, 40 years.
They're proud of that. They're proud of the fact that they have put in their life savings. They have, from the boot of their cars, started this football business. They believe that they had to give up so much, they had to sacrifice so much, you know, for football to be where it is. And I think it is that entitlement for them to say, this is our game, this is our sport, we can stay here forever. You know, we had to give up so much. So be thankful, guys, be thankful. We are the heroes. And yet, football might be in a space where, in terms of getting money out of, you know, television, broadcasts and stuff. Yeah, sure, it's true. But yeah, as much as SAFA are not doing well, from the PSL side, you get Mamelodi Sundowns being the sole team that is making a difference. And in the top 500 clubs in the world, only Mamelodi Sundowns features there. In the top 500 in the world.
And that's tragic. That's tragic.
And how do you expect then your Bafana Bafana team to do well when at club level, internationally, in the top 500, you only have one team? It's by no surprise that Sundowns do as well as they do.
Speaking of Sundowns, Jabu Mahlangu, formerly Jabu Pule, spoke about how he feels Sundowns are bad for soccer right now because they have all these players on the bench who are not participating or not doing anything, but they're hoarding all these players. What are your views on that?
In a country of 60-odd million people, that's not hoarding. Sundowns are doing what they're doing. That's why Sundowns
they're doing soccer. They're doing business.
They're doing, that's why they got a star on their jersey. That's why they can go to FIFA Club World Cup. They want success.
They're the business of soccer.
They're in the business of soccer because a businessman happens to run the team. Their ladies team, African champions. So the ladies also got a star on their jersey. Which other PSL team outside of Royal AM has a fully fledged football club? Everywhere. Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, there's a men's team, then there's a ladies team. There's a men's team, it goes right through. EPL, Spanish football, but we don't have here. We have.
Speaking of Royal AM, should you be allowed to buy another team's position?
Not a position, no.
Like, should I be able to say, I've got the budget, so I'm going to now buy Punya Sele Sele?
Hey, you're buying history, Fresh. I mean, how then do you replace the history that was that was earned.
Yeah, you're erasing history.
Yeah.
In effect.
I mean, they buy Man United, still stays at Old Trafford, still stays there. They buy Chelsea.
So you're saying it shouldn't be allowed then?
It shouldn't be. And I think everybody knows, and it's still going to be happening now. I mean,
so why does it happen?
Because it's allowed to.
Yeah.
Because also the people that run the game have got a duty to just supply the broadcaster with a 16-team league so that they can have fixtures and you can play football. So no one cares to say, let's preserve Bidvest Wits or Wits University's history. Let's preserve Bloemfontein's history. So all of those teams don't exist anymore simply because people have turned their backs to the historical nature of those teams. I mean, if a Stoke City can still exist and Blackpool and Leicester City,
regardless of how well or badly they're doing, they still exist.
They still
exist. History.
Yeah. So when you buy
heritage,
you don't buy to take away from the foundation.
Yes.
Imagine those Punya Selesele fans that are still there in Bloemfontein wearing those jerseys. I feel sorry for Porter.
It hurts.
Porter's there. He still wears a Celtic overall, with his shower cap at the top. So he's roaming around, he's finding a different team to support every day, but he still supports football, but has not moved away from wearing the club's colors. But that is what you do to history when you erode it and you erase it. It is not good for the future of the game.
Irvin Koza, beef? Is there beef between you guys?
I've had a couple of meetings with him.
Yeah. So are you guys cool? Because the perception is you guys are not cool.
Why would we not be cool? I don't know.
But you've heard it before.
No, I have. Yeah. I have. I always say if there is beef, let's present it onto the table. Yeah. Let's talk about it. I can't account for things that happen behind the scenes or maybe a dislike that happens outside of where I can see it happen. I think I'm more respect a person who's going to tell me in my face that, listen, Dwana, yeah, man, I didn't like this and this and this.
Can we discuss this?
Yeah, can we discuss it? Because a lot of these guys that run, football, that run rugby, they're equal to be my father.
Yes.
I can call them Ubaba and have a Baba to son discussion. So have that. Call for that. Maybe at times I might do or say something that at the moment I don't realize is hurtful to another person. But in the same spirit, Fresh, I've also done a hell of a lot to lift the profile of the local game, both on radio and on television, to bring about very innovative ways to celebrate the game, bring the game to the people, celebrate the legends, bring the chairman on board to talk about their teams and not to nail them or fry them or grill them or whatever people talk about, but just to say, here's a platform, let us talk. It's been more celebratory than anything, but I know that people within the football space get very sensitive very quickly, and they're very quick to forget the good that you brought to the space, in the long term. So in terms of him, he's a fatherly figure, and he'll get the respect that he deserves from me.
Speaking of being a fatherly figure, what do you hope to pass on to your son from your dad? In closing.
Yeah. Dad was obviously very strict. But it was difficult for both he and my mother, given where we were in the farms.
Yeah.
So I've seen those gaps that were there in terms of him maybe at times not physically being present all the time. So I try and make it a point that when it's school, holidays, half term, those dates I capture.
They belong to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I must also be there.
Yes.
It will take something really dramatic for me not to be there. To fetch, to have the conversations in the car, to catch up, to find out what is, so what I would really want to teach him is, number one, the independence is great. Yeah. Independence of what I call your mind. Don't be sucked in by people.
Sure.
Don't be a fan. Be yourself.
Yeah.
And I think for me in the long term, that is what has really sustained me, is not being swayed by individuals.
Sure.
Not looking at people in their positions and thinking that they're great. I look at everyone as being the same. So that is why mingling with the supporters, whether it's, Saddam Make, Mkichimi, who's passed away, a lot of the guys that are still around even up until now, whether it's Mama Joy or whoever else, up until the executives, to the coaches, to the football players.
Yes.
For me, everybody is the same, Fresh. And whether you're the president, whether you're the minister, I don't attach importance based on who or what you claim.
You must earn how I treat you.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And that respect you will see
Sure.
coming, in buckets. And I think if he can learn a fraction of that,
Yeah.
he'll go a long way. But be independent.
Rob, we're out of time, despite the fact that we're not out of time. I'm being told we've gone 30 minutes over. So we are out of time, but we're not out of time. So we'll do a part 2.
Sure.
Because I haven't even asked you half the questions I have
Hey.
here. So
The problem with these things, when you write them down as questions, you must just chat.
No, there are things we couldn't afford to leave out. So we've asked what needed to be asked. But dude, you are an inspiration. You're an institution. You are... Dude, yeah, man. You are you, dude.
No, thanks, man.
A legend in the making. But like I said to you, I hope people understand that with what you've done already with MSW, you've only just begun.
No, jeez.
He's still scratching the surface, guys. He's only just begun. We're now wait and see. Wait and see. Ladies and gentlemen, Robert Marawa is about to leave the building.
Thank you very much for having me.
This is
What a week. What a week.
And that was our show for this week. Hope you managed with all your loads. Remember, everyone, just because you're in the dark doesn't mean you have to be in the dark, if you get what I mean. Either way, have a wow week ahead. Thanks a lot. Shout out to our cinematographers and Africa Podcast Network. Shout out to Pezulu Works, Otis the Fro. Otis the Flo Fraser. He's a guy. He's not a fro. Otis the Flo Fraser, our sound dude. Our guests, Karyendasoul and Robert Marawa. Show producer, Keleso Modisa, and our creative director, Kuvesh Mohan. Mail us at waw@africapodcastnetwork.com. Have a great rest of the week, in spite of yourselves.